Okay. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Jaime Anderson. I am a Collection Services Division Manager at Sonoma County Library in Santa Rosa, California. I just want to start off by thanking everyone for their time today. I think this topic is a really important one. So a brief introduction about our county. Sonoma County is located in Northern California, about 55 miles north of the Golden Gate Bridge. Our county enjoys over 50 state and regional parks, 67 miles of rugged Pacific Coast beaches. We also have towering redwood forests, over 400 wineries, and a thriving art scene. Sonoma County Library specifically was originally formed in 1975, and our county library system serves just under 500,000 residents throughout the county at 15 branches, including our central Santa Rosa Library, 10 regional libraries, and 2 rural stations. We have about 230 employees here, and our residents borrow over 2.5 million items per year. So the story of how we identify physical activity as a need in our county kind of goes back to 2013, when Sonoma County conducted a large-scale community health needs assessment. This assessment was conducted with focus groups, interviews, telephone surveys, and so forth to really identify critical areas for health improvement. And one of the key findings in the assessment was that healthy eating and physical fitness were a #1 priority area for our residents. In addition to this assessment, there was also a second report that came out called the Portrait of Sonoma County. And this was a critical report published in 2014, which drew connections between life expectancy, education, and income. And it found that health and well-being disparities in the county were largely preventable through education. This particular report was really interesting to me because it actually drilled down to the zip code and compared, neighborhood by neighborhood life expectancies. And the finding that these kinds of discrepancies were basically preventable through education really caught the attention of our library. We thought there's something there that we can help with. So in addition to these reports, the library had also recently undergone a strategic planning process ourselves, where we sought extensive community feedback over a 12-month period. And we had just come out with our own 5-year strategic plan. One of the objectives in that document was to create a coordinated, comprehensive literacy service program and to develop partnerships with community-based organizations and government agencies to collaboratively provide services that we would struggle to provide on our own. So with all of these goals in mind, we decided to write a grant. We ended up securing a $30,000 federal grant to kick off a year-long program of health education classes in the fiscal years of 2016 and 2017. We called the series Healthy Living at Your Library, and you can see our branding here on the left. We offered, over the course of a year, over 150 free educational classes and events countywide at each of our library branches. And the focus was on not just physical fitness, but also nutrition and healthy cooking. So the series was supported by the U.S. Institute of Museum and Library Services under the provisions of the Library Services and Technology Act, which in our state was administered by the California State Librarians. The grant was a very competitive process with public libraries up and down the state pitching their ideas for funding. And we were really thrilled that ours was one of the projects selected. We were one of 30 grants awarded from a pool of 65 proposals. The purpose of the Healthy Living series is to empower and equip Sonoma County families, particularly low-income households, with information, resources, and tools necessary for healthy living. This is a list of the physical fitness classes that we offered. It's not a complete list, but you get the idea. So we did focus on some yoga and gentle classes that we felt would be attractive to seniors. So, for example, we offered a yoga class that specifically was about transforming your posture and improving the posture, aligning neck and shoulders to relieve pain and tension. It included stretches to open the chest and exercises to tone upper back muscles, that kind of thing. We offered a gentle strength and stretch class, which sounds exactly like what it says. It was just basically training to promote strength, endurance, and range of motion, very appropriate for older adults or all ages. A class about increasing balance and flexibility. We did some core strengthening classes, some cardio kickboxing, which was basically a cardio workout with jabs, hooks, and kicks, very exciting. We did low-impact aerobic classes. We did interval training, which was pretty intense cardio. And then we offered Zumba classes. As I mentioned, another important component of our program were non-physical classes. This is a listing of some of those courses. Nutrition education was a big push for us. It's a large component. Meditation, mindfulness, and stress reduction classes were offered. We did a healing foods class, which was basically a 2-hour class on whole foods nutrition basics, including shopping strategies, eating well on a budget, foods to add and avoid, and it included a demo of making a smoothie and energy balls, and samples were provided. We offered in the wintertime a class about winter vegetables beyond broccoli. The picture here on this slide is from that particular class. So this was how to select, store, and cook a variety of winter vegetables and bring out their best flavor. You can see here it was very hands-on. A lot of food was brought in from the market. It included recipes that were given out as handouts, cooking techniques, and lots of samples and eating. We offered an Ayurveda class. If you're not familiar with that, it's a body science that treats symptoms naturally, analyzes your mental and physical type, and then tailors remedies to fit your individual needs. And then we also have some really short, like 30-minute classes, like these last two listed here. Rethink Your Drink, which was teaching the importance of drinking water and avoiding sugary beverages, and then what's on a label, or reading and understanding food labels, which, again, is exactly what it sounds like. We literally had different cans and different foods from grocery stores, and the instructor went over how to interpret and read those labels. So obviously we couldn't do all of this ourselves. The series, the Healthy Living series, also did include free medical screenings for diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, and body mass index. So that was another component of our grant, and the screenings were conducted by medical professionals and gave residents or patrons an idea of where they stood with their own personal health. The partner that we used for the medical screening was St. Joseph's Health, which is one of the logos you see here on this slide. We also partnered with our own county's Department of Health Services to hold informational classes on SNAP Ed resources that are available to people. Formerly known as the Federal Food Stamp Program, you may or may not know SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And SNAP Ed is the nutrition promotion and obesity prevention component of their program. So SNAP Ed educates people on how to cook healthy meals on the average daily allowance for a SNAP beneficiary, which is $4.15 per day. Not a lot of money. We learned through this process that 10 of our 15 library branches were located in SNAP Ed qualifying areas, which meant that they would conduct classes in those libraries for free. The value of those free classes were about $5,400 on top of our LSTA grant. By offering the classes for free, all of our classes, we were hoping to basically level the playing field for families who perhaps couldn't afford to take a cooking class or join a gym, but they were interested in learning how to lead healthier lives. So again, this is a list of the different partners. We leveraged many community partners in the nonprofit sector, as well as various county agencies and health professionals. Many of these groups were ones that we had not collaborated with before. Through these connections, we were able to deliver a suite of classes to the public that was interactive, engaging, and fun. We also were able to attract new users to the library with this program. I will add that securing these partnerships was one of the most time-consuming parts of the planning process. We had to find the right person to talk to. We had to reach agreements about our shared goals, our commitment level, pricing. We had to sign a memorandum of understandings with each group that outlined what the roles and responsibilities were for each party. So it did take quite a bit of time. A representative from each of these groups also joined our library staff to form a task force with a focus on creating a marketing strategy to reach those low-income households that we were trying to target. Each partner organization cross-advertised our events in their respective newsletters, email blasts, printed material, and social media. One example, we had a full-page ad in the Santa Rosa Junior College course catalog for both their fall and spring semesters. We also advertised through local health action chapters, medical centers, farmer markets, health fairs, senior citizen homes, and low-income housing apartments. Another component of our grant that I haven't mentioned yet was to increase our library staff's competencies in delivering consumer health services to the public. We decided to offer a customized 2-hour training class provided by the National Network of Libraries of Medicine. This class was delivered to our branch managers. And finally, we also used a portion of our grant money to boost our collection, purchasing books and DVDs on health and wellness-related topics. We mainly purchased cookbooks and workout videos with this money. So in addition to the classes, which is the meat and potatoes of our program, we also designed a Healthy Living Club card. Patrons were encouraged to sign up to attend any 3 Healthy Living classes, check out 1 health book or fitness DVD, and complete a personal fitness challenge. Patrons who completed these steps and turned in their completed club card were entered into a raffle to win a prize. So our Library Foundation funded the 36 prizes that we gave away last year. We gave away things like an Instant Pot, yoga sets, and gift cards to local kitchen stores or local sports stores. And these are a couple of our prize winners collecting their prizes. As with any grant, we have very specific outcomes that we were striving toward. So at the end of the 12-month period, we came to the following outcome conclusions. So we had 921 people attended any class. We had 77% of attendees that came to a physical fitness class. They committed to doing the exercises at home. 88% indicated that the class helped them achieve a personal health goal. Again, we didn't dictate what that goal was. It was a personal thing. They didn't share that with us. And then 92% of attendees that came to a healthy eating class reported a commitment to increasing their fruit and vegetable consumption. So lessons learned. Our most popular classes tended to be those gentle physical movement classes and cooking education. The high energy like HIIT and aerobic classes were not as strongly attended. And I can't really speak to why. There were a lot of theories that we had about that. But for sure, you know, the low impact and the more gentle classes were more heavily attended in our county. Some of our classes were not as well attended as we hoped. The average class size was 6 people. However, we had some classes with 23 to 25 people and a few classes where no one showed up, sadly. Some space considerations that we ran into when we were working with our various partners to schedule these classes. Some of them indicated a maximum number of participants that could be in their class, say 10 people or 15 people or 25 people. So we honored that. Some of them indicated that they needed a staff person or a volunteer in the room the entire class to be like an assistant. And they required certain other things to be in the room, access to running water, garbage can, and so forth. But for the most part, with our physical fitness classes, the partner provider came in with all the necessary equipment, which was nice. Some of our libraries have really small meeting rooms, and so there was a concern that came up a couple of times that, let's say 12 people were going to show up, but the room was so small, and the physical activity required, a certain radius around one's body to be comfortable in the room. So some of our partners indicated, the room is such that we really think we can only have 8 people in the class. So those were just some considerations we had. We had one library that actually doesn't have a meeting room at all, and we decided to hold that class at an off-site location. It was actually a museum. We also considered holding it outdoors in the parking lot. There were some concerns there about safety and liability. A couple other lessons about scheduling. We did have a few challenges, as I'm sure you're familiar with any kind of events or programs that you schedule. There were cancellations. There were a few instructors that didn't show up or didn't touch base with the branch manager ahead of time regarding room requirements and things like that. So most of all, it went smoothly. There were a few hiccups like that. We also struggled a little bit with the best time of day to hold the classes and the best day of the week to hold the classes. Played around, did a lot of experimentation with that. Obviously, evenings were better. At the time that the classes were being offered in 2016 and 17, our libraries actually had pretty limited hours. We were only open 40 hours a week, and we were closed all day on Monday. Only open one evening in the week. That was Wednesday evening. And as you can imagine, Wednesday evening was like, the first time that everybody was trying to book all of their library programs and events. So it was not possible for the healthy living classes to always be on, say, a Wednesday evening. Regarding liability, we did talk to our partners about having like an activity waiver or a release form. Fortunately, our partners were already, conducting these classes throughout the community, so they were familiar with this need and the concern that we had. If someone were to unfortunately get injured or fall or anything like that while on our premises or in the class. So for the most part, our partners came in to the class with paperwork for attendees to sign right off the bat, and they were, not allowed to participate in the class essentially until they signed off, on the waiver form. Another lesson learned was probably my fault. I really should have put a lot more attention into a more solid marketing plan and didn't adequately budget for advertising as part of our grant at least. So that became very clear towards the beginning of our 12-month cycle with the grant. So we just did the best that we could, but I definitely encourage you to consider the marketing and advertising that would be required to really make your community aware of classes like this so they can get the word out and be well attended. I've already mentioned lessons regarding aligning with our partners. We did have a couple partners where, our role and mission in the community, they solidly understood and we understood theirs, and everything, like, the stars just matched up. It was great. We had one other partner that comes to mind that we kind of struggled a little bit with. It seemed like their interests and intentions behind offering the classes were a little bit different than ours. So just something to be aware of. And then finally, seasonal factors. Again, because our series lasted an entire year, we went through, fall, winter, spring, summer, and we found attendance was definitely better on, spring and summer-like days, nice weather outside, not a rainy, cold, damp day. And we also did quite a bit of a marketing push right around New Year's, when many people are thinking about their health and maybe possibly wanting to make a change. So if this is something you're considering, I would urge you to try and time it around the holidays and around the New Year, because that seems to be very effective for us. Okay, moving on. So when our grant cycle was completed, we decided to continue using the Healthy Living at Your Library logo and branding that our own graphics department had created for this grant. And we decided to increase the scope to include more classes specifically targeted for children, which wasn't, a big focus the first year. So this year, we're offering fitness and movement activities for little ones with a partner, a local partner that's called My Gym. They have a mobile gym. We're also, on the nutrition side, we're also offering classes for kids called Kids Can Cook, which teaches them how to make healthy after-school snacks, and a class called Mindful Minis, which is a yoga and meditation class for young children. And then on the adult side, we worked on a new partnership with our Sonoma County Regional Parks Department to offer regional parks discovery packs, which include a backpack filled with a parking pass, good for free parking at all of the 56 parks in our county, and a park map, trail itineraries, hiking tips, wildfire guides, and other information to just help patrons enjoy self-guided adventures in the parks. This Discovery Pack program was developed really to promote community health and well-being by increasing opportunities for residents to visit and learn about their parks. And I've noticed a lot of public libraries are circulating packs like this. So in conclusion, I'll just wrap up by sharing with you some of the patron comments that came through on our feedback form that we collected at the end of each Healthy Living class. Patron said, quote, well organized and a lot of material covered in 1.5 hours. Another patron said, fabulous presentation, yummy food. Another one said, encourage you to do more physical education classes at the library. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay, great, Jaime. And I do apologize. I'm not sure what has happened with our other presenter, Elizabeth Ross. I haven't been able to get a hold of her. So let's go ahead and we'll just take a question and answer now. So does anyone have any questions for Jaime? I have a lot of questions, but I'd love to hear from you. If you would like to put a question in the chat box, and if you don't see the chat box, if you go to your upper right-hand corner of your screen, you should see a cartoon bubble with the chat icon, and if you click on that, that will open up the chat, and you can type in any questions that you may have about the Healthy Living at Your Library program. Okay, so we have a question here. So the question is about waivers that were signed. And so the question is, did the presenters provide their own waivers, or did the library develop waivers for the classes?
We relied on the presenters because they already had, waivers that had gone through, I guess, their legal review and that they were using in other venues. So we did not come up with our own original waiver. We just piggybacked on what the particular partner or presenter brought.
Yeah, thanks, Jaime. And I'm just putting the link here in the chat box. I've actually been collecting examples of waiver forms that libraries use. Now, just to go back to the beginning, now there's so many libraries around the country doing these types of programs that rather than reinvent the wheel, we might as well learn from each other. And so there's lots of examples of waivers of liability forms that libraries are using to kind of make sure that they are protected legally in case of injury. But just along those lines, Jaime, was there ever any issue with all of these programs where a participant did injure themselves, or did that ever occur, or any type of injury or medical issues you had to deal with and associated with kind of having food or physical activity programs at your library?
Right. No, fortunately, nothing to that magnitude occurred. So we were lucky.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Other questions for Jaime? And while you're writing up your questions, I do want to apologize. I think we've had some technical difficulties today. I got a few emails from people saying that they were having trouble getting in, so I'm not sure why the software wasn't working well today, but apologies if anyone has had any technical difficulties. And the webinar will also be recorded, and so I'll be making the webinar available to people who may have had any technical difficulties. Okay, so another question. So this is a good question. So you talked a lot about working with presenters from outside the library. Were there any library staff who presented the topics or programs themselves, or were they all done by outside presenters?
Yeah, good question. They were all done by outside presenters. Once we started the program, I actually started to hear from some of our own library staff who were interested in being a presenter themselves. You know, they maybe had a skill they wanted to share that tied in with our focus, or they referred me to other people, friends or colleagues or whatever in the community that they knew that they thought would be a good addition to the program. So I did get a lot of good contacts from that, but again, our program was grant funded, so it was scoped very specifically with a certain budget and no more, at least that first year. Now it's kind of been absorbed into our regular operating events budget. So, you know, in retrospect, we could have maybe surveyed our own staff to try to identify anybody that could have been a good fit to be a presenter. We had one person in particular who actually, you know, worked on the side for the Sonoma County YMCA, which was one of our biggest partners, and she got very excited when she heard about the grant and wanted to, you know, participate. I did explore that a little bit with our library administration, and there was, if I'm remembering right, there was a little concern around basically conflict of interest. Hiring somebody and paying them, you know, in addition to them working here 40 hours a week, they also wanted to come in as an individual contractor through the YMCA. So we decided to just not go down that road, but I think it's an interesting thing to consider.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Jaime. I see another question here. You had discussed some publicity issues. Can you discuss a little bit more about some of the publicity issues that you encountered in the rollout of this program series?
Yeah, for sure. So at our library, we have a graphics artist who I relied on to help develop all of our flyers, announcing our events and classes. That graphics department also translates anything that's going out into Spanish because we have a large Latino population here. So I worked with that person quite a bit. We also have a webmaster that oversees all of our website updates and our social media posts